Today, if I had to subtitle this thing, it would be Stay in Your Own Lane.
All right.
Now, let's go back a few years ago. I'm dating this little lady, and we used to always go out with my partner. I'm going to go and call his name. My partner, Rowdy. We used to go out coupled up.
Mm-hmm.
So, we take turns paying. So, when it's his turn to pay, we go to Andiamo. Everybody get pasta. We spend a good $200, $250. Date over. Next month, it's my turn to pay. Okay, everybody want to go to Ruth Chris this time.
How'd that go? How'd that happen?
Oh, let me tell you how it happened. This boy now here, he got that bread. He had that bread now.
That guap.
he had that.
That guap.
So remember now, they eats well, but it's my turn to pay.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit. We've got it all. The news.
Stephen Paddock, the shooter, apparently wired $100,000 to the Philippines just before he committed that mass shooting and mass murder.
Politics.
The bigger issues, and that's what I think about. I'm judging this presidency when I'm looking at what's he going to do for this country is, one, is getting rid of the regulations that are making it hard to create and have more jobs here in this country.
Activist.
I can understand if we didn't live in America, if there wasn't white supremacy, if white folks wasn't beating the hell out of us. But one of the things that is very interesting to me is that, we are so divided. We are divided as if we don't have a common enemy.
This is Radio Our Way, the Detroit way. 910 AM Superstation is in a league of its own. We are the only talk radio station in the Metro Detroit area sensitive to the African American community.
Make sure you join us on what station?
910 AM the Superstation.
910 AM.
910 AM. On 910 AM Superstation.
910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only African American based talk radio station. 910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
I listen all the time. Great radio personalities.
The new mobile site is incredible. With the visual live feed, this is a whole new level for community broadcasting. I'm also very impressed with the Bible section present both in a written and audio format. 910 AM has really stepped it up to a whole new level.
Tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media. 910 AM Superstation gives you the flip side, the real side. This is our side.
I believe. Are we on the air?
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
I'm Republican, from Detroit, and I'm black. Yeah, that's right. Different perspective, different view. Don't miss the Wayne Bradley Show on Superstation 910 AM.
From 7 to 9 a.m., we'll have the editor for the Detroit News, Nolan Finley.
This is the most volatile time in the country in my professional career. And, that generates a lot of news, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Followed by the one and only David Alexander Bullock from 9 to 11 a.m.
The People Show, man, we bring it to you live and in full effect.
The always insightful and controversial Steve Niebling from 11 a.m. to noon.
And I do want to hear from you what you want to hear from me.
Bankalay Thompson from noon to 2 p.m.
This is the platform where we delve into the facts and informed opinion. We ask the tough questions.
The Cliff Russell Show from 2 to 4 p.m.
I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
Spud from 4 to 6 p.m.
Detroit's only African-American talk station, 24/7 Spud is here.
Rochelle Riley from 6 to 7 p.m.
I want to stress that this adventure is about life in Detroit and Michigan.
And Cliff Woodards from 7 to 9 p.m.
So this is it, y'all. We are the only talk radio station for African-Americans in this market.
910 AM Superstation, the only African-American talk radio station in town. 910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit. We've got it all. The news.
I don't know if you saw the paper today, but Wayne State University classes have started. They only had 87 DPS, Public Schools Community District students, enroll out of over 2,700 people.
Wow.
The sports.
So let's get back to baseball. And so there we have the Detroit Tigers giving away some of their best players, even the young ones, the prospects that have established themselves as being outstanding. Now, we got a couple left. I'm just waiting to see when they go.
Activist.
Now, that's where we'll stop you. Okay, so are you talking to a white man at that point?
I'm talking to a man.
But then you're also a woman talking to a man.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to point out.
Which can sometimes be an even bigger issue.
This is Radio Our Way, the Detroit Way. Every weeknight at 9 p.m. is something new and something fresh.
This is Todd Corser, and I want you to check out my show. Listen in and call every week as we explore government and hot topics. Tune in, raw and uncut.
This is attorney Michael Schwartz at 9:10 a.m. Superstation, and you can hear me every Tuesday night starting at 9 p.m.
Hello, Detroit. This is attorney Crystal Crittenden, and please tune in to my new show, The Truth Matters, on 9:10 a.m. Superstation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Mitchell, your host of Mind Your Business. Listen to my show live every Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m.
I'm Reverend Maya Lisa Reynolds, inviting you to listen to Mama Maya Speaks Friday evenings from 9 until 11 p.m., discussing education, motivation, and inspiration on Superstation 910 a.m.
Different names, different voices, but the same energy. 910 a.m. Superstation, the voice of Detroit. 910 a.m. Superstation. We're bigger and better than ever and growing daily.
I'm Dr. Taylor. This is my inaugural show. Just a few things about me. I'm happy to be here to be part of the Superstation team. This program, we want to talk about addiction, which is a really broad subject. It covers a whole lot of things. I ask you to call in if you want to talk to me on the air about anything. We have online Sandra.
You have been my mentor for years. I look up to you, and I talk about you all the time to people. I think that what you've done proved to other people that they can do whatever they want to do with their life. And that's helped me get back up to it, because I was an alcoholic at one time. And I've been sober for 12 years on September 15th.
910 a.m. is the gold standard for talk radio.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Yeah.
And good morning, Detroit. This is Wayne Bradley on the Wayne Bradley Show. Thanks for listening in. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to talk a little bit about the unfortunate situation with the widow in Florida that is being used as a political pawn by Frederica-Wilson. We're going to talk a little bit about the United States preparing for a possible war with North Korea, which seems like that should be the biggest issue in our country right now. And we're going to, later this morning, we're going to talk to our own Attorney General, Bill Schuette, who's going to talk a little bit about his upcoming campaign and his vision for Michigan. So I just want people to kind of understand what, I want, as we're going to talk about this scenario and what happened here, I want people to just to know that I am not in any way condemning or challenging what the widow said the other day on Good Morning America. I think that it's unfortunate. One, I think it's unfortunate that she had to answer any of these questions. And I think that stems from the fact that this congresswoman decided to take a private conversation and make it public. She has a long-standing relationship with this congresswoman, and so naturally she wanted to stick up for him because she's been under attack, obviously, once she decided to make this political attack on the president, that she's received some political blowback as well. And so surprisingly, or I guess unsurprisingly, the widow, because I kept saying, well, we need to hear from the widow. We need to hear from the widow. And sure enough, the widow came on to Good Morning America yesterday and talked about the scenario, talked about what happened, talked about the phone call. And I really believe it's unfortunate that this widow is not allowed to grieve personally. She's not allowed to grieve in her own space without having to answer any questions about the president and calls and things that quite honestly, she should not have to talk about right now. And I think it's unfortunate. I think that, like I said on Sunday's show, I think that maybe the president was not as sympathetic or empathetic as maybe some other people would be in that scenario, maybe that they would expect out of that situation. But the president did not deliver that empathy the way that some other people, I guess, would want. Now, I think that it was taken out of context. I wasn't there, so I'm not going to sit here and say I know exactly what the president said, but I can't imagine that the president decided to make that phone call with any malice intent. I think that he has proven more than once how he thinks highly of the military, so I can't believe that the president did that with malicious intent. And the way that they're trying to make this sound is unfortunate. I don't think it really should be a story right now with all of the things that are going on in America. But again, anything that Donald Trump's name is attached to, the media finds a way to blow it up, make it a bigger story than it is. And so now you have a situation where, again, a widow had to come in and go on Good Morning America. Now, I just don't understand how you can, in any other way, to make this something that she was looking out for her friend, the congresswoman, because she's being attacked left and right. And I think we got the clip of the interview from yesterday. I think we're going to go to that interview. We're going to listen to what the widow had to say about her phone call with President Trump. Let's hear that.
Aisha Johnson, the widow of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, one of 4 Special Forces troops killed in that deadly ambush in Niger. He was laid to rest over the weekend after a final kiss from Aisha, and I sat down with her earlier this morning just before we came on the air. And we are joined now by the widow of Sergeant Johnson, Aisha Johnson. Aisha, thank you for coming in this morning. I hope you're feeling the prayers and thoughts of all of us.
Yes.
You know, it was so clear watching the funeral how loved and respected LaDavid was by his family, his friends, his community, his fellow soldiers. What do you want people to know about him?
Well, I want the world to know how great of a soldier my husband was and a loving and caring father and husband he was to our family.
You knew him since you were 6, huh?
Yes, sir.
And I also know you have a lot of questions about what happened.
Yes.
In Niger.
Yes.
What's at the top of your mind?
The questions that I have that I need answered is I want to know why it took them 48 hours to find my husband. Why couldn't I see my husband? Every time I asked to see my husband, they wouldn't let me.
What did they tell you?
They'll tell me that he's in a severe rap, like I won't be able to see him. I need to see him so I will know that is my husband. I don't know nothing. They won't show me a finger, a hand. I know my husband's body from head to toe. And they won't let me see anything. I don't know what's in that box. It could be empty for all I know. But I need to see my husband. I haven't seen him since he came home.
And what have they told you about what happened in Africa?
I really don't know the answers to that one neither, because when they came to my house, they just told me that it was a massive gunfire, and my husband, as of October 4th, was missing. They didn't know his whereabouts. They didn't know where he was or where to find him. And a couple of days later is when they told me that he went from missing to killed in action. I don't know how he got killed, where he got killed, or anything. I don't know that part. They never told me, and that's what I've been trying to find out since day one, since October 4th.
Are you confident you're going to get the answers you need?
If I keep pushing for him, I will.
And they just say they don't know?
They won't tell me. They won't tell me anything. I don't know anything.
There are also a lot of questions about the phone call you received from President Trump. I know you were in a car to the airport. Tell us what happened next.
Me and my family was in the limo to receive my husband from, I think that was Dover we went to? Dover. And we was literally on the airport strip getting ready to get out. And he called Master Sergeant Neil's phone. I asked Master Sergeant Neil to put his phone on speaker so my aunt and uncle could hear as well. And he goes on to saying his statement as, what he said was...
The president.
Yes, the president said that he knew what he signed up for, but it hurts anyways. And it made me cry because I was very angry at the tone of his voice and how he said it. Like he couldn't remember my husband's name. The only way he remembered my husband's name because he told me he had my husband report in front of him. And that's when he actually said LaDavid. I heard him stumbling on trying to remember my husband's name. And that what hurt me the most, because if my husband is out here fighting for our country and he risks his life for our country, why can't you remember his name? And that what made me upset and cry even more, because my husband was an awesome soldier. He did what it take people, other soldiers, like 5 years to do in 3 years. So imagine if my husband was here now. It took my husband 3 years to make E5. It take other soldiers 5 to 6 years just to make an E5. So if he was here now, he would have been on his way to being an E6 or an E7. My husband had high hopes in the military career.
What did you say to the president?
I didn't say anything. I just listened.
But you were upset when you got off the phone.
Oh, very, very upset and hurt. Very. It made me cry even worse.
Congresswoman Wilson reported that, and you explained she was in the car with you.
Yes.
She's been close to your family for a long time.
Yes. Miss Wilson, my uncle-in-law was Miss Wilson's elementary school principal. And my husband was in her 5,000 role model program. That's why she's well connected with us, because she been in our family since we were little kids.
The president said that the Congresswoman was lying about the phone call.
Whatever Miss Wilson said was not fabricated. What she said was 100% correct. It was Master Sergeant Neil, me, my aunt, my uncle, and the driver, and Miss Wilson in the car. The phone was on speakerphone. Why would we fabricate something like that?
Is there anything you'd like to say to the president now?
No. I don't have nothing to say to him.
Your little girl's going to be born in January.
Yes, January 29th.
What are you going to tell her about her dad?
I'm going to tell her how awesome her dad was and how a great father he was and how he died as a hero.
Words she's going to love to hear. Maisha, thank you for sharing your story this morning.
Thank you.
You did die a hero.
Oh, it's so powerful. And
powerful interview there. And like I said, how can you in any way I can't do anything but feel sorry for the widow. And one, like I said, having to explain that story more than once, having to relive that on national TV. But what I will say is it disturbed me to hear her say whatever Ms. Wilson said is 100% correct. Like almost like she didn't even have to hear what she said. It's just like whatever she said is 100% correct. Now, if you listen to what she said, she clearly said there's a personal relationship between her and Congresswoman Wilson. And this is what you call the game of politics, unfortunately. And the same way that General Kelly might have been pressured, we won't say forced, but pressured to go out and speak up for the president and to defend the phone call itself. This widow, who's probably in some of the worst emotional stress that you could be in right now, in my opinion, was pressured by Congresswoman Wilson to answer to these accusations. She didn't address them one by one. She said whatever Congresswoman Wilson said is 100% the truth and not fabricated. Well, and she said, what will we have to, why will we fabricate it? Well, I don't believe that the widow herself is sitting around here trying to think of ways to fabricate the story, but I think it's entirely possible that she wasn't a fan of Donald Trump from day one. And when he called and gave his condolences, the only thing that this Miss Wilson, Congresswoman Wilson, heard was, well, he knew what he got himself into. Not that he knew what he was signing up for, and we thank you for the commitment. But it's still, still an awful thing what happened. Whatever it wasn't just, oh, he knew what he signed up for. Sorry for your loss. Have a good day. I mean, does anyone really believe that that's what the president called and said to her? Despite that, because you have other stories of other veterans that said that was almost the exact opposite of their call. That the president knew who he was calling, knew their personal situations, knew things about their family. So, and again, I don't want to get into a thing of challenging or calling this widow any names, because I think it's, like I said, she's in probably the toughest. She is in the toughest situation. And same way with John Kelly. I'm not in a position, and I don't think most of the media is in a position to question a Gold Star family and the commitments and the sacrifices that they've already made. So I'm not going to jump in on that and add to that. I just don't think that. I don't think that's appropriate. I think that I can't imagine that this woman volunteered to say, "Hey, let me go on Good Morning America, and let me talk about this." It sounds so much like, "Hey, we need your help. We need you to get on top of this." A family friend. What do you think, folks? Do you think this is legit? Do you think it's, at this point, political gamesmanship being involved on every side of the issue, which I think is unfortunate, because this woman should be able to grieve on her own without having to feel political pressure from anyone. And do you think that's the case? Do you think that she signed up to say, you know what, I want to go on Good Morning America and talk about this scenario? I don't know. I think she's incredibly brave for doing so. And I do respect her for doing so, but it just, when I hear someone say, I agree with what she said 100%, it didn't sound, that's not the way you confirm someone's telling the truth or you believe what they say when you just say 100%, whatever she said. So we're going to go to Steve, who's on the line. Steve, thanks for calling in.
Good morning. Good morning. Just a little disappointed that we're attacking Congresswoman Wilson, because what she is doing, Congresswoman Wilson, and going to the press, is defending a Gold Star family. She's defending the family who the president accused of lying. And John Kelly accused Ms. Wilson of lying. We can see that the only ones that have a track history of lying are Donald Trump and General Kelly. So
where's General Kelly's track record of lying? He served honorably in the military. And he's done and from most accounts, he's done a good job as chief of staff in what is considered a very challenging position. Where is General Kelly's background in not telling the truth?
Well, he lied about Ms. Wilson's presentation when she honored some fallen FBI agents that she requested a new center be named after. Mm-hmm. He claimed that she did political grandstanding and took credit for getting the funding for it, and a videotape was produced that proved that that was a lie. He was there, but he said she took credit for getting funding when she didn't. She talked about the agents that she requested Congress name the center after. They had fallen in the line of duty, and she wanted to honor them by naming that center after them. And he said she grandstanded and took credit for getting the money when she wasn't even in Congress. So he blatantly lied about a woman that was simply defending a Gold Star family.
Why does she feel the need to get on the radio in the first place? I mean, why does she feel the need to do that in the first place, Steve? I mean, I guess that's the question out. She didn't have to go onto the media to make that story.
She was defending a Gold Star family she felt had been disrespected by the president. She said the president made her cry. She made her more upset. There were multiple witnesses in the limousine. She was there because she was a part of that family. That's
the part to me why I think it's personal.
Congresswoman Wilson was simply defending a Gold Star family by going to the press. And someone needs to defend Gold Star families against President Trump. That's clear. He has a track record of attacking Gold Star families, and I would like to see other Republicans defend Gold Star families.
I mean, I don't think anyone's attacking Gold Star families here. No Republicans are doing that. I don't think that President Trump is attacking Gold Star families. If he gave a message that, what I will say is this: if he offended her, which it sounds like he did, he should just apologize for that and not continue to go back and forth. But I don't think his intentions when he called this woman, called the widow, was to in any way hurt her feelings. And definitely probably didn't intend on this being a political issue. General Kelly told him, he said, I told him not to make the calls in the first place. He was that committed to wanting to make the calls to add a personal touch to what was going on. I think he's learned now that in these situations that might not be the best thing because maybe he doesn't have what you would call the empathy that you would need or the tenderness to make these kind of phone calls because it's got to be the roughest phone call you would ever have to make. Could you agree with that, Steve?
I could definitely agree with you that that's a very rough phone call to make, and I think maybe he shouldn't make those calls. I think the only reason he did make the call and he made it, remember, very late, was because the press began asking him about David Johnson because he hadn't even mentioned the soldiers that had been killed in Niger in, over a week. And the press began asking him about it because he hadn't mentioned it. He hadn't tweeted about it. He hadn't mentioned them being killed.
Do you think that it has more to do with the fact that these operations are more covert operations of what they're doing in Niger and in Africa in general? I think that they have successfully have started running ISIS out of places in the Middle East, and they are migrating to Africa. And maybe instead of telegraphing that and warning the whole world that, hey, we're in Africa now doing training and trying to get people prepared because these guys are moving into the region, do you think that played a part in it? Because, I mean, I don't think they're there for vacationing purposes. They're on a mission. And so do you think that maybe part of it was not wanting to reveal everything that's in the mission, that there might have been some strategic purposes for not talking about everything right then and there?
Well, clearly they are on some sensitive missions over in Africa. However, once it becomes public and it's in the media, it had been reported widely in the media for well over a week. I mean, there's at least a duty to acknowledge the soldiers that were killed in the line of duty. So, I mean, there was no secret at that point, but he hadn't even addressed it in any way, shape, or form for over a week. And I mean, it's some of his behavior, even with John McCain, his disparaging, attacking John McCain, another Gold Star. He's a Gold Star family. He's a POW. He's a hero.
Right.
He has a track record of attacking, our military heroes. I think that's problematic, and I don't think the GOP does itself any favors by defending Donald Trump in this area. I think they need to stand up for something.
Listen, Steve, do you think that the media unfairly picks on Donald Trump, and that's why sometimes you have these Republicans rushing to defend him because it's like it's being on overkill? I mean, let's just be honest. If he did, like I said, give a less than emphatic, if he didn't give the empathy that was desired, do we really believe that he called to hurt that widow's feelings? Or is it maybe he just does not have the sensitivity needed to make that phone call in the first place?
Well, I don't think he had any intent to hurt their feelings.
Well, I think that's the way the media, don't you think the media is kind of reporting it in a way like, obviously that's Donald Trump. He's the worst man ever. And he called this poor widow and told her that, he knew what he signed up for and basically hung up on her after that. I mean, that's the way the media is making this story. And I think that's why you have Republicans and different surrogates and whatnot sticking up for him because they, even if you know him personally, if you don't know him personally, you can't believe that the man called this widow with the intentions of trying to make things worse. So, hey, Steve, I appreciate you calling in so early this morning. We have to go to a break, but if you can, keep listening in, and if you want to call back in, feel free to do so. Thank you again.
Will do. Thanks. Have a good day.
All right. We're about to go to a break. You're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 a.m., your superstation.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
Hello, Detroit. This is Janice Winfrey, your city clerk. Also, I'm excited that we are rolling out our brand new voting machines with you in mind.
Get out to vote Tuesday, November 7th.
Great news. 910 AM Superstation is growing, and you can watch as well as listen anywhere you go. The 910 AM Superstation app is now supported on iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle Fire, Windows Phone, Apple TV, and Roku. 910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
I'm Republican, from Detroit, and I'm black. Yeah, that's right. Different perspective, different view. Don't miss the Wayne Bradley Show on Superstation 910 AM.
From 7 to 9 a.m., we'll have the editor for the Detroit News, Nolan Findley.
This is the most volatile time in the country in my professional career. And, that generates a lot of news, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Followed by the one and only David Alexander Bullock from 9 to 11 a.m.
The People Show, man, we bring it to you live and in full effect.
The always insightful and controversial Steve Niebling from 11 a.m. to noon.
And I do want to hear from you what you want to hear from me.
Bankalay Thompson from noon to 2 p.m.
This is the platform where we delve into the facts and informed opinion. We ask the tough questions.
The Cliff Russell Show from 2 to 4 p.m.
I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
Spud from 4 to 6 p.m.
Detroit's only African-American talk station, 24/7 Spud, is here.
Rochelle Riley from 6 to 7 p.m.
I want to stress that this adventure is about life in Detroit and Michigan.
And Cliff Woodards from 7 to 9 p.m.
So this is it, y'all. We are the only talk radio station for African Americans in this market.
910 AM Superstation, the only African American talk radio station in town. Are you an aspiring businessman or businesswoman? Are you a great communicator, love to meet new people, and want to make a ton of money? Do you despise sitting behind a desk all day and would rather be out making money? Well, we have the opportunity for you. 910 AM Superstation is looking for new, energetic, and committed account executives. If you can make the connections, build the relationships, and close the deal, that's all you need. Call David Bangora at 586-790-3838. That's 586-790-3838. Stay up to date with current events and breaking news on our Facebook page. Search and like 910 AM Superstation on Facebook, and you'll see everything new, everything exciting, and all things Detroit. 910 AM Superstation News on Facebook Live right now. Be sure to catch Doing the D with Alexander Zonchek right here on 910 AM Superstation.
And you know what that means? Lots of cool stuff. Hey, if you love gospel and jazz and Motown cruises and holiday festival concerts in Monroe, we've got it all right here for you.
I want to say thank you for all you do, all you give us. We, your fans, we just love you. And you know,
I appreciate that, Phyllis. Thank you so much. It's uncomfortable to get compliments to do something that you love doing so much, but I appreciate it.
The Voice of Detroit, Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. 910 AM Superstation is in a league of its own. We are the only talk radio station in the Metro Detroit area sensitive to the African American community.
Make sure you join us on what station?
910 AM the Superstation.
910 AM.
910 AM.
On 910 AM Superstation.
910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only African American based talk radio station.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative lyrical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative lyrical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is.
Welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 AM, your superstation. Wake up. Wake up, everyone. You know, as I'm looking at my board operator over here, she needs to wake up too. Everybody needs to wake up around here. If I'm up, y'all need to get up too. You know, so I just want to reiterate, I think the reason why people like myself, who I am honest about it, I think that the president shouldn't even have been making those calls. I'm going to go out on the limb and just say that, you know, the president is not a sensitive guy. You know, I know that might be a news flash for some of you folks out here, but I just don't think the president is a very sensitive guy. I think that in this situation, I think that because he's already who he is, the fact that he used that term or said that puts him in a position where he had to defend himself. And that's, to me, with all the other things that are going on right now, I just don't think the president should have to be defending himself or making this should not be an issue. And if General Kelly told him, instructed him not to make the call, then the president has to do a better job of listening to the people that he's assembled around him, these great minds and great folks, to listen to them, follow their advice. You know, I know he follows a lot with his instinct and things of that nature, but sometimes you got to listen to the professionals. You got to listen to the guys around you. They're giving you advice for a reason. They want to see you successful. They have the same agenda. They want to see your agenda be successful. And that would be my advice. And in this situation right now, I would, I was married once. And sometimes, you know what, you just have to apologize even if you don't mean it. You know, just for the sake of everyone, just to be quiet. I apologize. I'm sorry. I dropped the ball. If you were... Or, you know, the classic, if you're offended, then I apologize. There's just, you know, a couple ways you can handle that. But I feel like because the Congresswoman interjected herself into it, she made it a political thing. I think that if this would have just been the widow herself and not the Congresswoman involved, I would hope that maybe the president would either reach out to her privately, but I think that to me that it would save a lot more time if he simply just, you know, apologized or maybe called the widow and had a final conversation so that the air could be cleared on this whole situation. So we're going to move forward a little bit, some more of President Trump's agenda. I think it's very interesting right now that all the prototypes for Trump's wall have been completed. And so now there are 8 early finished prototypes. They're assembled near the existing fence down the U.S. border, miles outside of San Diego, actually ahead of Thursday's deadline for the sections to be completed. So President Trump did say that he would get this wall up and it would be done on time. And so far, they're running ahead of schedule just on the prototypes. Now, I posted something yesterday, and this is what I'm going to continue to talk about with black folks and what we should be most concerned about in terms of the president and what's going on with this administration. I think I'm going to give this statistic out, and I'll let people think about this, because to me, this is the most important thing dealing with the Trump administration, and where I think black men in particular need to judge the success of this president. And that's, what it is? It's the unemployment numbers. All right, so I'm going to give you this number. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate for black men is down from 7.9% in 9/20/2016 to 6.7% in 9/2017. And it's just as simple as this. I know, I think that black men, we are the forgotten voter, the same way that some of these guys felt for Donald Trump. Black men, because we don't get out in the propensity we need to, we are the forgotten voter. But you know what? You know what black men are most concerned about? Jobs and paychecks. How much more of my paycheck can I keep? And those are Republican issues, folks. And so even with this wall, I know a lot of people have thought, oh, that's silly to build the wall. It's about having immigration that works. And I'm gonna tell you that black folks, we've lost a lot during this illegal immigration situation, because there's a good saying that Republicans like cheap labor and Democrats like cheap votes, and that's why this has gone on for so long the way it has. And I think that black men, we've been lost in this shuffle. We've been lost in the mix in particular with jobs and entry-level jobs that a lot of these immigrants illegal immigrants, I should say, are coming over and taking. That, the whole argument has always been, oh, black people don't want this job or they don't want that job. Well, it's not that we don't want it. We just want to be compensated for the job. And sometimes these jobs, whether it's working in agriculture or working in the service industry, they haven't paid well. And so they go after folks that aren't going to be complaining about the level of pay. Almost similar to the way that in the fast food industry, people complain for $15 an hour, which will never happen. Well, it might happen for the one person that's left in the McDonald's or the fast food establishment after most of the staff is replaced by kiosk. These are the type of things that you have to deal with when you're dealing with these kind of challenges. And I think that black men, they're not going to be as emotional about these issues, as certain other folks are. Black men have, their major concern is their income, their paychecks. How can they provide for their families? I think a lot of these issues, unfortunately, in particular when you're dealing with this widow, it invokes a lot of emotion. And caller, be patient there with me. Stay on the line. We'll be right to you very shortly. But I think that, to me, this is the issue that, black men need to pay attention to. Are we getting jobs? Are we getting opportunities? And those are the things that matter. A lot of this other stuff is distractions, unfortunately. And it does a good job of distracting. I had a conversation with someone last night, and to me, it has convinced people that, President Trump is not sensitive to the plight or to the needs of the minority community, which I think is, like I said, it's an unfair criticism. Donald Trump had won awards from Jesse Jackson for his work in providing opportunities for minorities. It wasn't until he became the Republican candidate for president that, all of a sudden he did not like minorities, didn't appreciate their commitment, the things that they've done for this country. To me, the minute you become a Republican, and Donald Trump is the ultimate proof of that. He's the ultimate proof that you can be a liberal, a New York East Coast liberal, for a good portion of your life. That's the reason why he calls him Chuck and Nancy. But the minute he became a Republican, he became a racist. He became someone that didn't care about African Americans. So we got some calls coming in. Give us a call at 313-209-9000. Again, that's 313-209-9000. We got a couple calls coming in now. I appreciate that. I want to hear what the folks have to say. Should black men in particular, I'm talking to the men here, should we be paying more attention to the labor numbers and jobs, or should we, get caught up in a lot of what I can consider some of the more emotional minutia that's coming out of D.C.? So we're going to go to LaShonda first. LaShonda, thank you for calling in.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, thank you. Just had to weigh in on the subject with the Congresswoman, and also I wanted to weigh in on one of the previous shows yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It went into quite a bit of detail about the general, and when they went over how the various letters were presented to President Trump on what to say and how to say. I was interested in knowing how out of 4 of the letters, 1 was botched. I was just curious as to how that system worked, number one.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you that there is definitely a lot of rhetoric.
Right.
When we talk about the media and in sound bites and things of that nature. But I guess going back to the show that I heard earlier yesterday, I also listened intently to your show on Sunday. I even Facebooked you because I was very impressed with some of the comments.
Well, thank you.
Thank you as well for your show. As the conversation progresses and you start getting more and more information, which is what I definitely appreciate about this station, I'm just truly enlightened. I don't want to say that you're backtracking or cleaning up kind of what you may have said on Sunday. I don't want to go in that direction because I like the way that you're handling the subject today and moving forward.
Well, I did say I had to hear from the wife. I kept saying, I was like, well, once I hear from the wife, then I'll kind of know the direction. And I refuse to really challenge the wife herself. I think she has the right to grieve however she wants to. If she really wants to talk bad about President Trump, then she has every right to do so, okay? I just feel like because of the personal relationship she has with the Congresswoman that she's known since she was a young person, that helps, to me, just the political part of it. That's what bothers me.
Where, you know what? And this is where you and I would disagree, because the fact that this has gotten as polarized as it has, to be able to see her, the widow that you still have not called by name, I don't know. I couldn't call her name out as well, so forgive me for making that.
No, I'm not trying to disrespect her at all.
I know you're not. I shouldn't say that. I don't know you well enough to say that.
I assure you, ma'am. I assure you that I am not trying in any way to minimalize her. What
about the Congresswoman?
The Congresswoman, again, she's fair game because I believe this is political in her apparatus. I'm not saying even in her intentions.
Go any further.
Yeah.
Right, and we'll leave that.
So do you think it's all legitimate that she's just being a concerned Congresswoman, and that is that your opinion of her?
My take as I listened to the entire continuing saga, the fact that they were in the limousine together. The speakerphone was put on and all could hear.
Right.
When I learned that the relationship and a little bit more of the background of the Congresswoman, who I had never heard of until this incident, it became more personal to me.
Right.
And, all of the name calling about her hat and her background and listening to comments about her on other stations, really, much to, what you're saying about her, it really offends me even more to hear others in the Republican Party, particularly, speaking of her in the manners that they're speaking about her. I don't like it, and I think that it's just disrespectful.
Okay.
And it's the same way with Congresswoman Maxine Waters. I may not agree with some of her positions, but I definitely would not stoop this low to equate her with James Brown and the way that the woman wears her hair. I think if we have done anything, we should learn from First Lady Michelle Obama and her legacy, and to continue to, do our research. And I just wanted to say thank you. I did go on a little bit too long.
Oh no, I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate, like I said, people don't have to agree with me 100%. I'm not one of these people looking for that. I appreciate people calling in, talking about the issues, and giving different perspectives. I'm able to process stuff differently when listening to other people myself. So I do appreciate that, and I appreciate you listening to the show again this morning, LaShonda. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
All right, you have a great day. All right, we've got Jerry here on the line. Jerry, thanks for calling in.
Hey, how you doing? It's me again.
All right, what's going on, Jerry?
Yeah, I talked to you last week. I told you. Well, I want to get into the immigration thing in a second, but I just wanted to reiterate. I told you last week, John Kelly made a fool of himself. Anytime people need to understand. In this world we live in now, you can't make statements and then all of a sudden here comes the film, here comes the tape. So, and I think he's a great man, but he done got caught up, man. Where's Mexico paying for the wall? When they going to pay for the wall, sir?
It will be done through reimbursements, through the tax.
That's not what the American people were told. You know what he says now? He says, and let me tell you something.
Go ahead.
He says, oh, well, they're going to pay for it, but we're going to have to pay for it ourselves first. It's not what he told the American people. What I'm trying to say is this. I don't trust nothing he says. I don't. And when you talk about, I really do think this man had no ill intentions when he called that young lady, but he's just so insensitive. It's absolutely amazing. John Kelly told him not to make the call.
That's my position is that, hey, listen to your general. Listen to your general.
Nobody calls somebody and rubs it in. I agree with that, but let me tell you something.
Wait a minute. Before, thanks for agreeing with that, Jerry. I just want to ask one question. Do you think the media, though, takes advantage of all the misdeeds or things that President Trump has done and tries to make it that kind of scenario? Because that's the way they're reporting it is that Donald Trump essentially called this woman and said, hey, you know what he signed up for. Thanks a lot. Got to go. And that's it. I mean, we know that's not what happened.
Let me tell you something. You and I are both smart enough to do our own research and figure out what's happening. See, when people go to talking about the media, it turns me off because if you've ever listened to Sean Hannity when Obama was the president, it was absolutely deplorable. He made up stories that you remember the thing in New York. He actually went on TV and said,
what I like to say about that, Vince, Jerry, is that this is the difference between the Obama era and what we have now is that the only channel that you did have that would go negative on President Obama was Fox News. And essentially it was maybe two or three guys, Sean Hannity,
but you're grown.
Bill O'Reilly, and maybe one other host. You see what I'm saying? So, but
man.
Yeah,
but I agree.
And so if you flip it around, though, all of the media does that to Donald Trump. CNN, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, BBC. I mean, if they get anything, a crack of daylight to go after Donald Trump, they go full court press. And I think that's why you have people that are willing to step up and defend him. Because it's not like I don't agree with everything he says or does, but I think it's overkill. I think because it's and this has to do more with the greed of the media because You can make more money on your advertising dollars. You can promote it more when you're sitting around talking about Donald Trump. You know, when they tell you, we're going to got this exclusive of Donald Trump's taxes at 9 o'clock tonight on NBC, and then when they come back, and then it's nothing but some old one tax form. But guess what? They've juiced up the ratings and the dollars for that night, and they've taken advantage of that. And I just think that to me, I hate sometimes that you got to defend the president on things that it doesn't seem like you should have to defend him on, but the press just goes so overboard with some of that stuff. And everyone's not as cognitive as you are to say, okay, well, I can recognize it's only one station that does this. Most people aren't listening to Fox News unless you're a Republican.
No.
You know what I mean? If you're not a Republican, you're not watching Fox News. You know, I mean, compared to these other channels.
And I'm an independent, and I watch whatever I want to watch, and then I decipher it myself. But that's why, newspapers and news shows go 5 killed on the east side, news at 11. What people want to see, if it bleeds, it leads. You know that. But let's get back to immigration. You don't want to admit it, but John Kelly, with that tape, he made himself look. When you're a military man, you're supposed to be apolitical. You do not do that. And he made him. I'm telling you, he's lost respect in the military community.
But he's not in the military anymore. He's a
I understand that.
He's a civilian now. I mean, if he was in the military,
so now he's become just a hack, right?
No, I mean it's a different. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Chief of Staff is pretty high up on the hack list. Okay, I mean,
you agree?
Yeah, I mean, he's in a political position now. He had to go out there and defend the president, huh?
That's called selling your soul. Did you see the tape when he talked all that? None of that was true.
You talking about the press conference?
I'm talking about the award ceremony that she presided over when she thanked Republicans, Democrats. She said, "I'm just trying to get this building named after these." He made it seem like she was up there grandstanding, talking about how much money she raised, and there was.
You know what? When I watched the video, and I think that unfortunately he looked at her style and the way she presented as opposed to actually what she was saying. And let's just be honest again. When our white friends look at our presentation and they see our clothes a little flashier or a little more bright, they're more caught up in that than they are what she was saying. And on top of that, our black politicians, the way they brag, you might even if they're bragging on something in their district, you might get the idea that they're bragging on themselves. And I think that's more style points than it was.
Okay,
and I'm not defending that. I'm just saying that I'm thinking that's.
Yeah, I got you. But here's the deal. Let's just be honest. And I'm going to tell you something. I've been saying for the last 15 years, one of the reasons I thought that the unemployment rate was high in the black community is because of illegal immigration. I'm going to tell you that. But here's the deal. Let's just be honest about it. If you punished the employers and you said, okay, for every illegal we find in this plant, we're going to find you $1,000. That's something cut out tomorrow. And part of that is E-Verify. But here's what the deal is, and people need to know. It has nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans. These guys are bought and paid for. They're not going to go after the businessmen.
Right.
So for him to stand there and keep talking about that, first off, he employs illegal immigrants. He's actually applied for a visa.
Yeah, he does. Well, see, that's the thing. He doesn't employ illegals. He goes after. He does the HB1 visas. That's different.
Yeah, and one of the things that he said in his place in Florida was that, I didn't think that there was a shortage of bartenders in this country that could bartend. But that's what he wants to use those visas for down in Florida. Come on, man. All I'm saying is, like I told you before, I don't have trust in either party. I think this man is very uncouth, but that's not my deal. My deal is this. Anybody that's serious about illegal immigration could end it tomorrow.
Amen.
And all you got to do is go after the employers. But you and I both know they won't go after the employers.
Everyone likes that cheap labor. They like that cheap labor, Jerry. They love that cheap labor.
You're going to go after the employers?
Nope. I doubt they're reserved. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jerry, for calling in today. I appreciate you listening in, and thanks for listening to the Wayne Bradley Show. All right, we're going to go to a break here. We're on the Wayne Bradley Show on 9:10 a.m., your superstation, and we'll be right back.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit. We've got it all. The news.
I don't know if you saw the paper today, but Wayne State University, classes have started. They only had 87 DPS, Public Schools Community District students, enroll out of over 2,700 people.
Wow.
The sports.
So let's get back to baseball. And so there we have the Detroit Tigers giving away some of their best players, even the young ones, the prospects that have established themselves as being outstanding. Now, we got a couple left. I'm just waiting to see when they go.
Activist.
Now, that's where we'll stop you. Okay, so are you talking to a white man at that point?
I'm talking to a man.
But then you're also a woman talking to a man.
Thank you. That's
okay.
what I was trying to point out.
Which can sometimes be an even bigger issue.
This is Radio Our Way, the Detroit way. 910 AM Superstation. We're bigger and better than ever and growing daily.
I'm Dr. Taylor. This is my inaugural show. Just a few things about me. I'm happy to be here to be part of the Superstation team. This program, we want to talk about addiction, which is a really broad subject. It covers a whole lot of things. I ask you to call in if you want to talk to me on the air about anything. We have online Sandra.
You have been my mentor for years. I look up to you, and I talk about you all the time to people. I think that what you've done proved to other people that they can do whatever they want to do with their life. And that's helped me get back up, too, because I was an alcoholic at one time. And I've been sober for 12 years on September 15th.
910 AM is the gold standard for talk radio. Every weeknight at 9 p.m. is something new and something fresh.
This is Todd Corser, and I want you to check out my show. Listen in and call every week as we explore government and hot topics. Tune in, raw and uncut.
This is Attorney Michael Schwartz at 9:10 a.m. Superstation, and you can hear me every Tuesday night starting at 9 p.m.
Hello, Detroit. This is Attorney Crystal Crittenden, and please tune in to my new show, The Truth Matters, on 9:10 a.m. Superstation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Mitchell, your host of Mind Your Business. Listen to my show live every Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m.
I'm Reverend Maya Lisa Reynolds, inviting you to listen to Mama Maya Speaks Friday evenings from 9 until 11 p.m., discussing education, motivation, and inspiration on Superstation 910 a.m.
Different names, different voices, but the same energy. 910 a.m. Superstation, the voice of Detroit. We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 a.m. Superstation, the most powerful voices in the urban community. 910 a.m. Superstation gives you the flip side, the real side. This is our side.
Are we on the air?
You're listening to 910 a.m. Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station. You're listening to 910 a.m. Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show here live on 9:10 a.m. your superstation. Wake up, Detroit! Wake up, wake up! We've been talking a lot about the president and his phone call with the widow. We've been talking about his. We've also been talking just recently. We were talking about the unemployment numbers for the Labor Department. I see that Dr. Mack is on the line, so I'm sure he'll break that down for me a little bit more as we go on. We're going to talk to Vincent. We're going to bring Vincent on the line. Vincent, thank you for calling the Wayne Bradley Show. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good, and thank you for accepting my call. I think it's a lot to do about nothing. in the sense of the media trying to stir up some type of animosity toward the president. Now, go back to, you remember when Hillary Clinton received greeted the family of one of the men that were killed in Benghazi, and I don't think the father was a great advocator or follower of President Obama nor Hillary Clinton when she said that he took this, it was a video that brought this to bear, and that they were going to go after the one who did the video. Mm-hmm. And the father was so incensed and angered by Hillary Clinton lying to him about how her son was killed, and they knew that it was not a video. If you love the president, it's probably more so a perception.
Right.
You know, and I know that President Obama is not an orator. He is. If you put him up to it, he probably never took public speaking.
You said you mean President Trump?
Excuse me, President Trump.
Yeah, because President Obama is an orator. He's the orator. He's the campaigner in chief when it comes to oration.
With his words and very eloquent, and I give President Obama credit. He's very eloquent with words.
Definitely.
But Donald Trump was not eloquent. He's not an orator. He's not
probably never took a Toastmasters class, nothing like that. He's not. That's not his thing.
And he's limited in his delivery for appeal's sake. So he's rough at the edges, but I don't believe that he called to disrespect this family, this widow. But let me tell you, I'm sure the other three families, if they got the same call, if they were incensed, they would have said something also.
Right.
And if the media could have found some disenchantment among the other three women, they would have been out there as well. And maybe someone will interview the other three women. And it's sad that you got to seek out someone at a moment of loss.
That's my biggest issue. That's exactly what my biggest issue is.
If you love Trump, you would appreciate the call. If you don't like him, you're not going to appreciate the call. No matter what he says, you're not going to appreciate the call. And that's pretty much most of what, in a nutshell. The media is stroking this on purpose. They're digging up, well, you said this, you said that, but what about the other three women? No one's saying that they were disrespected. I mean, they're
you know what the narrative is on this, Vincent, is, you know, the second undertone of why it happened to this widow. It's because she's black. And, you know, President Trump doesn't care about people of color. I had this conversation with somebody last night. That's literally what they said. Like, hey, the main reason that Trump said this because he just doesn't care about people of color. And I said, wow. So on top of him being insensitive, you know, having no compassion for this widow, is he went extra far on her because of, you know, he doesn't like minorities. And I think that's what the media is digging on that because it's almost like a trap. This is what I look at it as. The congresswoman who put this out here, by default, President Trump is going to attack back. And then when he attacks back, now he's going to be labeled as someone that attacks a black woman or his, you know, and there's no question.
Of course.
And I listen to this. Now, I will go along with this. I will say Trump supporters can get pretty ravenous. And there's a difference between what President Trump might say in a tweet or something like that compared to some of his more overzealous supporters that essentially feel like you cannot say anything that challenges the ideas or the principles of Donald Trump. And I think that is the difference between what President Trump, you know, he's called her wacky or whatever and all these kind of things. But I think that at the end of the day, it's when, you know, the threats are being made and all this other stuff that's outside of Donald Trump's realm, that this is where some of these, you know, like I said, the news is going to jump all over it and take advantage of it. And this congresswoman had this woman, when she said, I agree with whatever she said, 100%, that told me right then, okay, well, she didn't even hear the interview. She just knows that she agrees with Congresswoman Wilson, who's a personal, you know, friend of the family. And the same way General Kelly kind of had to go out there and defend Donald Trump last week is the same thing she did yesterday, is my opinion.
No, I agree with you 110%. And of course, and he lost a son, mm-hmm. and nothing much you can say. Now, you know that at this time, we do not have a draft in place. We don't have a conscript army.
Right.
This is what he was probably trying to get over into the minds of this widow, that at this time he signed up for the patriotism of his country. He signed up to protect his country, and he knew what
the risks were. He knew, I mean, and we've said this about police officers in the past. I don't understand how that turns into, basically that's the only thing he said was, well, he knew the risks. But he did sign up for it. Yeah,
he was not drafted, and his rough edges was probably not as eloquent to say that he was so dedicated that he signed up for what his end result came to be. He didn't say it in such a way. He said it and however he said it, it was from his sincereness, and it's just it's a perception. So if you like him, you perceive it well. If you don't like him, and I'm sure the other three widows, if they didn't like it, they would have said something against it, and they would be up in the news now. And quite naturally, if they are for the call, you're not going to have the media putting them on the air saying, "Oh, well, we didn't feel it, so we were grateful that he called." They're not going to present those women. No,
not at all. Well, that's not, that doesn't sell.
To undermine him.
Yeah, it doesn't sell. It's not selling the narrative that, unfortunately, instead of just reporting the news, the media nowadays is deciding to make the news. Instead of just reporting it, they're making it.
Letters now, like you said, I agree with what you said. Maybe he shouldn't have spoken to him at all and should not have made the call.
I hope that he's learned his lesson now, that maybe he should not make phone calls. And
this may teach him a lesson. Some people are not going to like you, will blow it out of proportion, so maybe just send a letter and be done with it.
I think that moving forward, if the president can't see from this situation the pitfalls and the risks of, what I consider having a good heart, trying to, add a personal touch to it's a rough situation, then, I would hate to say, do your research on politically where they stand before they do, because it shouldn't be like that. But maybe he should just write letters to everybody and save himself this kind of fiasco, because it's obvious that people want to take advantage of what I consider a situation where it shouldn't have been. I want to believe that the last thing that a widow wants to do is go on Good Morning America, a couple days after a funeral and rehash an incident like that, unless someone's pushing you to do so.
If you don't like him, you'd be glad to do that, Wayne.
Right.
If you are on the opposing political
you're helping your friend out.
Glad to do that.
Yeah.
That would give you great joy to do that. But if you were on the one who was a supporter of him, you would be grateful that he took the time out of his day, as important as he is, to make a personal call to you in the first place.
Right. Well, Vincent, I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in and giving the clarity and the insight that you have on this matter. Stay focused and watching these folks, and stay diligent. Thank you, my friend, for calling in.
You're more than welcome. Glad to do it.
All right. Now we're going to bring in my resident therapist, my resident knowledgeable one who never hesitates to give me a good lesson, Dr. Mack. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Wayne. Good to hear your voice.
How you doing?
Now, Wayne, good. That was 8 minutes with that gentleman. I'm not sure what the gentleman's name is, so I hope you've got at least a clock running, Wayne, okay?
I'm good.
Like I said, facts are not your friends, Wayne. And, you and Donald Trump recoil at them. Let's talk some facts, okay? What that gentleman said is so full of unrefined manure, I don't even know where to begin.
Oh, man. Why you always got to cut into everybody like that? Why can't you just...
And you, Wayne, wait a minute, Wayne. I speak the way people deserve to be spoken to.
Okay.
And if unrefined manure is coming out of your mouth, I'm not going to say it smells like a rose garden, okay? Now,
all right.
Let's deal with issue number one, what the gentleman said about Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting how people talk about, well, it wasn't the videos. Valerie Jarrett was wrong. It wasn't the videos. When we see now with the whole situation in Niger, there's facts that are unfolding every day, all right? Facts are unfolding every day.
Mm-hmm.
Even the FBI is now saying, hey, folks, the report that you got earlier, that may not really be accurate because These guys might have been lured into an ambush
right.
and allowed to stay there, made to stay there longer. We didn't know those facts earlier. We should not criticize members of the military or the administration when they report on facts as they appear at the time. It shouldn't have happened with Hillary Clinton, and if people have done it with the Trump administration, it shouldn't happen there,
right.
because things have to unfold. So the whole myth about, well, Hillary Clinton said it was a video, there was evidence of a video, and no one can say to this day that a video didn't play a part in it. But what Hillary Clinton said was right. The issue is this happened. Why did it happen, and how do we stop it from happening? Mm-hmm. So therefore, paint that brush with everybody, Wayne. With John Kennedy, we're going to celebrate 50 years in terms of the release of information. Mm-hmm. There's still people now who feel they have other theories and other evidence being uncovered after this gentleman's been assassinated.
Right.
So if you want to paint Hillary Clinton with a brush of she spoke too soon, then paint everybody.
Well, I don't think the issue with Hillary Clinton was that she spoke too soon. It was the validity of what she said, how they were trying to make it seem like this was a protest to a YouTube video.
Wayne, Wayne, but it was a protest. There was a riotous situation there, okay? And what I'm saying is Hillary Clinton was right in what she said based on the information there. Now, let's move on, though, to John Kelly, all right?
Yes, sir.
First of all, John Kelly is speaking. He's not speaking as a four-star general. Mm-hmm. He's speaking as a civilian.
I agree.
So you want to talk about a prostitution and pandering job. John Kelly, the only question with John Kelly, I don't have a question about what he is. My only question is what he charges, because he has prostituted himself so much and the honor of the office that he held, or position he held as a four-star general. Let's understand something right here. If we're going to start saying, like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, boy, God bless her. Have you ever noticed you've never seen her and Miss Piggy in the same room? So
that is so wrong, Dr. Mack. That is sexist.
Wayne,
that is sexist. You're body shaming poor Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Wait a minute, Wayne.
Ugh.
I did that specifically so you could tell me that.
That's
Remember
disgusting.
The Hispanic actress, Wayne, the model that Donald Trump was fat shaming, Miss Eating Machine.
So why are you stooping to that level to do that, Dr. Mack?
Wayne, I'm just trying to get you to understand some things about your leader.
And let's be clear about that situation. He was giving her advice to win a beauty pageant. Why does that? I don't understand. Like, he was doing it to win a beauty pageant.
Wayne, once again, you are the kind of people that is such an apologist. Donald Trump can say, I can stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot people, and I won't lose a vote. And then someone like you will come up and say, no, he was just really trying to give people directions.
Oh,
so I'm telling you is, okay, no, but it's true, Wayne. So in terms of John Kelly, man, John Kelly was there with Donald Trump, all right?
Right.
So let's not talk about this was some private conversation. Donald Trump didn't tell the widow that Mr. Kelly was there in the room. He didn't tell the widow that. So, first of all, and when he called Mrs. Johnson, he called that woman on her way to a funeral arrangement, Wayne.
Right.
She had no control over when Donald Trump was going to call her.
I agree. He had no clue either about maybe the congressperson being in the car with her or any of that.
So what I'm saying is, when you make a statement, Wayne, when you're the President of the United States, this is what I want you to understand, young man. Words matter. And you and other apologists continue to try to say he's rough around the edges. You cannot excuse racism, xenophobia, misogynism by saying, well, he's rough around the edges, Wayne. You can't keep excusing that, because it's not just a matter of what he says, it's a matter of what his policies do. You're one who keeps saying, well, let's look at the policy. Mm-hmm. I asked you last time, Wayne, in terms of his policy, where is your party's policy on fixing the Voting Rights Act, okay? Where is it, Wayne? You said to me, well, you know what? It should be fixed. You know,
right.
There are problems, okay? So you agree it should be fixed, right?
Right. I mean, I think there's some. I think that, but when you start talking about levels of what we're dealing with right now, I think that getting the economy fixed and getting the healthcare system fixed, I think those things are going to take a priority to that right now.
Wayne, Wayne, do you realize when Republicans took control of Congress, Wayne, took control of the House, the first measure they did was pass a measure saying that, everybody's got to read the Constitution, okay? Rather than deal with unemployment, Wayne, rather than deal with comprehensive immigration reform, Wayne, rather than deal with national security, Wayne, the first thing they did is everybody's got to read the Constitution.
Oh, right? I mean, come on. That's what they call a snowflake bill. That's an easy one. You got to get something going.
But Wayne, what I'm telling you is
like
when
warming
you talk
up
about focusing on important things, the Republicans in the House of Representatives 70 times voted to repeal Obamacare.
Right.
Not one mention about comprehensive immigration reform. Not one mention, Wayne, about a minimum wage raise. None of that.
Wait a minute now. During the Obama administration, the Republican Party, the Gang of Eight, we worked together on trying to do real immigration reform. But the problem is,
and Marco Rubio was excoriated for it. That's exactly right. Marco Rubio ran like he had been caught stealing chickens, man, okay, from Colonel Sanders. When those people started putting pressure on him, he ran away from that and then repudiated his own.
But, that was because he was running for president at the time. You still had Senator Graham there working on it. You still had other people, other leadership that were working on that bill. But no one has the stomach. Let's be honest, Dr. Mack. Neither side has the stomach that they need to push real immigration reform because both sides have different reasons they benefit for its current form.
Wayne, I disagree. When you say neither side has got it, you're one of those people that seems to make a disconnect between a person being in this country and being a citizen. Wayne, no president can make anybody a citizen, Wayne, okay?
I agree. Okay. I'm saying, what do you mean I have a disconnect? Some people are here illegally.
Okay. Well, Wayne, but what I'm saying is you and your brother from another mother, Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, you've got this nonsensical mantra, well, the Democrats want these illegals here so they can vote for them. That is nonsense. You show how little you know about the law. No president can do that. Only Congress can do that, Wayne. Right. Only Congress.
Well, it doesn't always have to matriculate to that person themselves voting. It's a family member. It's someone that feels that they're empathetic for a wide open border policy. So it doesn't necessarily have to all trickle down to those. It's about getting cheap votes in general, not just that person.
Wayne, there you go again. You really show how much you like Donald Trump. You're just totally ignoring what I said. No president can make a person a citizen.
I didn't say that person would be the citizen voting. You just didn't. I just said that it would because that you might have people that are already here. That those could be their relatives. Those people are thinking that could be a fellow coworker. That's having the empathy for those kind of border policies. Now I'm gonna let you finish up here because it's been 9 minutes and 25 seconds, Dr. Mack. So I'm gonna let you leave me with your last thought here.
Well, the last thought is that John Kelly has sullied the memory of his son. His son had absolutely nothing to do with this. Mm-hmm. They brought John Kelly out to try to say, well, I lost somebody too. This is not the empathy parade. John Kelly is there as the chief of staff, Wayne, all right?
So do you think that widow was marched out yesterday by the Democrats to say, hey?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
wow. She made whatever statement she made, Wayne,
You know what statement she made? She said that whatever Congresswoman said, I agree with 100%. That's all she said.
And
that's a rubber stamp.
Wayne, first of all, Wayne, wait a minute. It's so interesting how you say that Donald Trump, who's supposed to be the leader of the free world, well, give him a pass because he's an artful, but you've got a grieving widow. Donald Trump 5 times said he had a bone spur and couldn't go to Vietnam. Donald Trump said the greatest threat he felt in the Vietnam era was trying not to get an STD. So please don't try.
Wait a minute, man. He said that on the Howard Stern show. I wish you guys would stop taking stuff that he said on Howard Stern seriously. This is a different era. He was not the president at that time. Come on, man. Dr. Mack, I got to go. This is 10 minutes and 50 seconds. I gave you more than your time today. Thank you, though, for calling in and giving me the education that I needed. All right, we're going to go to Michael. Michael, thank you for calling in today.
Listen, Dr. Mack, as usual, is wrong. There are cities in in Maryland, that allow illegal immigrants to vote in local elections.
Yep.
They're already voting.
Yep.
Dr. Mack, please, you have a right to your opinion, but when you belittle
facts are not his friend. Isn't that what he just told me? Facts are not his friend.
Now, here's what we're saying. We're saying the Democrats are doing a two-stage process. They want amnesty, and they want a pathway to citizenship so the illegal immigrants will be their constituency.
No question about it. And their relatives that are here now that can vote will be their constituents as well.
Exactly. So we know they can't vote in federal elections, but Dr. Mack, look it up. Illegals are voting now, all right? Now, as far as Donald Trump, here's what I wish he would have said. I wish he would have came out and said, look, I tried to comfort a Gold Star family, and my efforts to comfort her didn't go over well. I am sorry for that, and now we're going to move on.
I apologize.
The bottom line is,
that's it. Yep.
It should have never been politicized in the first place. We should have never known the full context of that conversation. And I'm going to say this, Wayne.
Go ahead.
The bottom line is you're 100% right. When the men and women ran, like I said on your show Sunday, when they ran into the building on September 11th, we said they knew the dangers and they ran in. There's a black lady who said Donald Trump was nothing but respectful. Okay, so maybe he fumbled. But for anybody to say that he called somebody to basically say, hey, your husband knew what was going on, he died, sorry for your loss. Anybody who believes that that was the cold, callous, and calculated way that Donald Trump called that lady is obtuse and intellectually dishonest. He called her, he added in there that he was a hero for going for signing up in a time of peace to go to war. It didn't go over well, and like I said, we call Donald Trump out. We say when he's wrong, we say that he's wrong. When we say that he's messed up on something, we call him out. I believe you and I have been more critical of Donald Trump than sycophants like Dr. Mack will ever be critical of Barack Obama. Now get this, right? What's the biggest problem in the black community? The prison industrial complex.
Right.
Did President Obama put forward one piece of legislation? Now, I know the Congress and the Senate actually have to pass the legislation, even though
only thing he did, interestingly enough, was an executive order. That's it. There was no laws. He never, and he had the first 2 years when it was Democrat-led Congress in the House, and he didn't. All he did was put all his chips up on Obamacare. So, I mean, he had opportunity to do more for black people, and he simply chose not to do that. He wanted to be America's president at that time.
20 times, Wayne, he said it would be unconstitutional for him to protect the Dreamers. Oh, but after he won the 2012 election, now the constitutional lawyer realized I can sign an act. And basically Donald Trump got a lawsuit, and he said, I can't defend the lawsuit, so it's going to be tossed out, and the Dreamers are going to have to go. So guess what? How dare you, Congress, actually have to do your job? And when I
make them do their jobs. Yep.
He's actually saying, Congress, we had a president go executive order crazy, use executive orders, not like most presidents have done, but to actually make law. Right. And now I'm saying the laws he made are unconstitutional, and you've got to act. And instead of people like Dr. Mack saying, wow, we're returning to constitutional government. Oh, no, he's just doing it because Barack Obama was black. Come on, guys. Can we have some intellectual honesty? We want to debate you. We want to talk to you, but we can't talk if you're going to be intellectually dishonest. Thanks, brother, and keep holding up the torch.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it, my brother. I appreciate that call. All right, we're going to go to Tim. Tim is on the line. Tim, thank you for calling in.
Hi, good morning. So, again, Dr. Mack, the facts, he says that all the time, the facts are going to hurt you, Wayne. And then he proceeds to give you no facts, he says that
tell you, Dr. Mack is he's like my co-host. He's the most famous guy. He comes on here and makes these outrageous statements, and people have to call in to correct it.
It almost sounds like he's 6 months behind on everything. You know what I mean? They realized that the Benghazi had nothing to do with the video. And he says there's nobody out there that would say that. And he's just so rough. But anyways, I wonder if he saw our ex-president Jimmy Carter
Oh, yeah.
About how unfairly Donald Trump was being treated by the media.
I told people, it's either time to go play the lottery or the world's coming to an end when Jimmy Carter is defending Donald Trump. But that's just how bad the media is, that even Jimmy Carter can't ignore it. Like, man, his exact words are, they've been tougher on him than any other president.
Yeah, it's I would like to, regarding this Gold Star wife and mother,
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wins in this conversation.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
A bad conversation, and I think, that Congresswoman was wrong to publicize this. She should have stayed under the radar, maybe contacted the president, let her know how this woman felt, and then General Kelly should have stopped after he explained what happens to a fallen soldier.
And didn't. Yeah, he didn't have to get into the weeds on the Congresswoman.
Exactly. He got political when he went after her.
Right.
And then it just continues. So I don't even like talking about it. This woman is grieving, and I hope we can keep this sacred. But my God, the way they politicize everything now, Wayne.
That's what I said. This should not be a political. This should not be a political issue. We should let the widow grieve in privacy, and I hope that we don't see too many more interviews with her right now. This is the time. She's got a baby on the way. Let her grieve in privacy. Tim, I appreciate you always calling in and giving your clarity. Thank you again, my friend, for calling today. All right, we're going to go to a break. We've got Vincent on the way when we come back. But when we come back, I'll only be able to take that one last call because we're going to have the best attorney general in the country joining me on the show to talk about his campaign and talk about some of the things he's done here for Michigan and also his vision moving forward. So you listen to the Wayne Bradley Show on 9:10 a.m., your superstation. We'll be back shortly.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
This Total Traffic Report is brought to you by Ram Trucks and Ram Power Days. Superheroes don't have anything on Ram Trucks because you don't tow, haul, and rip stuff off the ground in the fictional universe. You do it in the real world with a real truck. Hurry in before October 31st and get great deals during Ram Power Days.
910 AM Superstation. We're the hottest station in town. Why? Because when it happens, we talk about it.
Right. So at any point, he can go be who he is. He's Marshall Mathers. He can go down the street every day, and it's over. So, but we've always had, good white people on our side, helping us during times of struggle in the movement. So yeah, I don't have a problem with what he said or how he did it. I think he was
very articulate.
Very articulate. I mean, he's amazing with some of his analogies he uses. The one talking about Fantastic Four and with the rocks, because he's talking about the big rock guy and he's orange. I mean, dude is brilliant, man. I mean, you just got to give it up for him as an artist. He's amazing. So for me, I don't necessarily have an issue with it, but no, I don't think he or any other person that hasn't walked in these black shoes can speak for us and what we go through.
910 AM Superstation, the best, the brightest, and the bravest voices of Detroit. If the conversation is hot and the lines are jammed, give us a try at 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601. That's 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601.
910 Superstation is off the chisane.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit, and we want to hear what you have to say by any means necessary. We have it all, from motivation to outrage, from advice to empowerment. We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 AM Superstation, the most powerful voices in the urban community. 910 AM Superstation is in a league of its own. We are the only talk radio station in the Metro Detroit area sensitive to the African American community.
Make sure you join us on what station?
910 AM the Superstation.
910 AM.
910 AM.
On 910 AM Superstation.
910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only African American based talk radio station.
the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show here on 9:10 a.m., your superstation. Been having some great conversations, and I always like to remind folks that I appreciate all my guests and folks calling in because you guys really help make this show. Without you guys, I'm just sitting here running my mouth a lot of times. You guys really add some important conversation and important opinions and facts to the show, so I appreciate all of your contributions and all of your calls. We're going to we got Vincent on the line. Vincent, thank you for calling back into the show.
I had to call back because of Dr. Mack. His information is so incorrect. It's purported that United States government watched the Benghazi affair by way of drones from beginning to end. And I believe Ambassador Chris Stevenson, was killed around hour number 4 of the skirmish. And more so than that, let me give you something even worse that our commander did. In giving us a false narrative, he left this nation to uncheck the killer of Ambassador Chris Stevenson. Do you remember the ship Achille Laws many, many years ago? The terrorists, they threw this a man overboard in a wheelchair. His name was Klinghoffer. And it took the American government 10 years to find the terrorists that did so, but we got them. Years ago, you knew that if you messed with Americans, we were coming after you. Under this past president, we left his death, Ambassador Chris Stevenson, unchecked. There was no public vendetta made or declaration that we're coming after you, the killers of Ambassador Chris Stevenson. Now, what you do behind the scenes is one thing, but what you have the courage to do public and make a declaration is another. This ex-president did not do that. He didn't mediate that red line that he drew in the sand in Syria.
Right.
President, the leader of Russia, Putin, is the one who came out, who mediated that red line.
He actually took the leadership role in that. Not us, not America, but Russia.
Not only that, but most public don't know that United States based in Syria was bombed in 2016 by Russia, and they came back the second time and bombed it again, even after we notified the Kremlin that you just bombed our base in Syria, and American and British base in Syria. We made no vendetta, no outcry. It was a one-day story in the Wall Street Journal, but there was no outcry from our president against Russia that what you did to us, we are going to retaliate, or not even without retaliation, but address it publicly, an outcry for what you did. And so this Dr. Mack doesn't have all the facts. We watched it live in Benghazi. We knew that it was not a video. It was just a talking point.
Hey, but Vincent, just like Hillary Clinton said, what difference does it make, right? What difference does it make?
And in doing so, it only makes a difference to the ones who lost a loved one.
Right.
To them, it makes a big difference to know what really happened. So Dr. Mack needs to do a little bit further research, and I'll let you go because you have a guest waiting.
Thank you so much, Vincent. I appreciate you calling in there. I tell you, Dr. Mack, you got to be listening in on here, and you got to realize you are, like I said, I love you calling in because I do believe you're an intelligent man. And I enjoy the debate, but you becoming famous on my show, Dr. Mack. So, we're having a good time here, and I think that I appreciate everybody calling in. Dr. Mack is probably calling in to rebuke all these people calling his name, but like I said, we make these decisions, and we share our opinions and we share our facts. What do I know? Sure enough. My most famous, I might as well just call him my co-host. Welcome back, Dr. Mack. You're back on the air here.
Okay,
we're like Hannity and Combs right now. That's how we're like the black Hannity and Combs.
Well, no, I wouldn't be so grandiose to put your knowledge on equal with mine, Wayne. Vincent,
wasn't the elitist statement to make. Oh
no, Wayne. When if you were an elementary school teacher and a third grader came up to you and said, let's you and I teach this class together, you'd say, young man, have a seat. Vincent, in 1985, Vincent, the Achille Laurels is where that gentleman was killed. Vincent, for your information, in 1985 is when the government passed a law that said the FBI can now exceed the borders of the United States of America for terrorist examination, all right? That was in 1985. Obviously, Vincent does not understand that. That is why the FBI is in Niger right now, okay? Now, second point, in terms of this ridiculous, nonsensical statement that, well, you know what, everybody is on Donald Trump. Look here, you cannot have a hero without having a villain. Rupert Murdoch, 40 years ago, decided to make the mainstream media, in other words, the one that you had to turn your channel on 2, 4, and 7, to be the enemy. That was a marketing ploy designed specifically for a specific type of person in this country, that 33, 34% that has a very racial bent and accent to it, Wayne. So when you talk about the mainstream media not doing anything or giving President Obama a pass, when you have an exaggerated figure like Donald Trump who's so outrageous and flamboyant, all right, and you've got Sean Hannity holding his hand and other stations report what they actually hear, it's easy to say everybody's against him. That's a marketing ploy, all right? Now, the next thing I want to say, and I want
you to. Do you think that's accurate, though? Do you think that's accurate, Dr. Mack? Do you think most of the media is against Donald Trump? Is that a fair?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I think the media reports what Donald Trump does and says. You got to understand something about Donald Trump, okay? I give the man credit in this one regard. He is the greatest showman since P.T. Barnum. Yes, he is. He's the greatest showman since P.T. Barnum.
I have no problem. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
Okay, yeah, but you see, the problem with a showman is it's the man behind the green curtain, Wayne. Mm-hmm. That's what I want my conservative brothers and sisters like you to understand. It's a smokescreen. It's a show. But when it comes down to substance, particularly when it relates to black people, it's not there, Wayne. When you go and tell the police it's okay if you want to rough somebody up, putting them in a squad car, don't worry about it. Don't be so nice. Tell that to the family of Freddie Gray, man. Tell it to the family of Freddie Gray, all right? All right? So what I'm saying is it's not just what this man says. It's the messages that go out. Oh, and by the way, until this guy that calls him, they're going to dignify his name, the truck driver, that salt and pepper team, you've got those truck drivers there. Let me explain something to you. When you talk about when you talk about Russia, let me explain something to you, to Vincent and this other guy there, okay? I've been to the Soviet Union. I've been to Russia. I've been to the Kremlin. I've debated their best legal experts, their legal system against ours, and acquitted our nation very well. So I know what I'm talking about, Wayne, okay? I know what I'm talking about. I'm not listening to a bumper sticker broadcast. So what I'm telling you is, in terms of this whole thing, in terms of Donald Trump and the widow, the gentleman simply should have taken the high ground like George Bush did with Cindy Shaheen. Remember Cindy Shaheen, Wayne? Mm-hmm. Okay, do you? Okay. Remember her camping out in front of George Bush's ranch in Texas? Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Remember that?
Yes, I do.
George Bush, he took the high ground, and that's exactly what Donald Trump should have said. What Donald Trump should have said is, you know what? I sincerely apologize if my words were misunderstood or if I did not say this the right way. I apologize to you, ma'am. It was not my intention. This country honors and supports your husband for his great sacrifice. End of story, Wayne. End of story.
Listen, you know? I said he could have made that a lot easier on himself. He could do that this morning, and it still would be end of story. I agree. But that's his MO. He's not. How many times has he apologized since he's ran for office?
Right, 0.
Well, he apologized once. He did apologize once.
To who?
When that leaked video came out with him and the commentator, when they called him on. So he did apologize for that. But other than that, no, he's. But I mean, I think that's part of his. Again, that's just Donald Trump. Take the good with the bad on that.
Yeah, well, Wayne, the reality of it is, though, he's not just Donald Trump. He's the president of the United States, Wayne, okay? He's the president of the United States. And so, and I don't know what facts Vincent is coming from, but I don't even want to waste my time on that. There was a full investigation of Benghazi. Once again, don't be so quick to jump the boat on something and say people are being disingenuous. Donald Trump was not trying to be disingenuous when he called that lady. He was not. He wasn't doing that. He wasn't calling her because she's black to pick on her.
Right.
Anybody who says that about that gentleman is wrong. That is
Thank you,
simply
Dr.
wrong.
Mack. Well, at least we can agree on that. Thank you. I appreciate
Correct.
that.
And anybody who says President Obama had some ulterior motive for Benghazi, they're wrong also, Wayne.
I don't think he had an ulterior motive. I just think that they didn't want to give us the clearest story on what happened, which is not unusual with our government and how they work.
There would be no reason to fabricate, Wayne. There's no reason to fabricate.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that during the Obama administration, they a lot of times they wanted to calm the fears of Islamophobia and things of that nature. They never wanted to use the word Islamic terrorists. They wanted to calm those fears. And so that's another one of those examples. Instead of just saying this is what happened, they didn't do that.
Would you say Timothy McVeigh was a Christian terrorist, Wayne?
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. Hey, man, listen, domestic terrorism is a problem too. You know, and those are usually white terrorists, but we got to handle that too. I'm not going to sit here and give them a pass on that.
All right. Why did we never hear Fox News or Bill O'Reilly refer to Tim McVeigh as a Christian terrorist, Wayne?
Well, that was 20 years ago before people were using that term loosely. I mean, that was a totally different era. But, I mean, nowadays, I mean, look, I don't hesitate to use that, and it might be to the chagrin of some of these other patriots. But sometimes you got to call a spade a spade.
Okay. Hey, Wayne, as long as you're consistent about that.
I am. I can't speak for everybody, but I am. Those guys are just terrorists are terrorists. Anyone that spreads terror through the use of violence or threatening, they're terrorists. And so, yes, I don't have a problem with calling some of these, groups that are right here in America terrorists as well. Timothy McVeigh was a terrorist. The man that went to that movie theater was a terrorist. The guys, those guys are terrorists. There's no doubt about it. The little young white boy that went to the church and shot up the church, terrorists. So, no, I'm okay with that.
Wayne, man, I'm glad to hear you say that, brother. But I tell you, with the Republicans, I just heard you say that. I don't know how much longer you're going to be on the air.
Hey, man, I take darts from everybody sometimes. That's how sometimes I know I must be doing the right thing. When I got Republicans and some Democrats mad at me, that means I'm being honest, too honest sometimes, and I'll take that. So, hey, Dr. Mack, I do appreciate you calling back and at least clarifying from your end where you were coming from, and thank you again for calling back.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So as we're moving forward right now, we've got this Mueller investigation now that has stumbled onto Tony Podesta, and I think that people need to pay attention to that, because while they've been investigating Donald Trump for having his connections to Russia, the real story has been the uranium one that was sold to Russia during the Obama administration under the direction of Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State, and when she was receiving these large donations from Russian entities, and they were all going into the Clinton Foundation. And so now Mueller, and that's why I said, won't he do it? While he's sitting there investigating Trump for something that didn't happen, now we're really about to get into the weeds about what really did happen in D.C., okay? And so now the Podesta groups are, Tony Podesta and the Podesta group are now subjects of a federal investigation being held by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. And 3 different sources have confirmed that. The pro-Podesta and his Democrat-leaning lobbying firm grew out of Mueller's inquiry into the finances of former campaign chair Paul Manafort. And again, Paul Manafort's got his own set of problems that I don't think that are going to be related to just collusion or the campaign. He had been doing business with these foreign entities for a long time, and apparently wasn't revealing that, wasn't reporting all the income that he's bringing in. So those are his issues. Whether the feds can make that Donald Trump's issues or not, that remains to be seen. But definitely Paul Manafort has his own sets of issues that he's got to deal with. But in the course of this investigation now, which, if Podesta has, they stumbled on the Podesta, which I don't know why it would be considered stumbling onto, because a lot of this information has been made public. And so this is nothing new, but this is the way politics works. And it's unfortunate that, again, they only talk about, the news hasn't really been talking about that this much. They've been, anytime there's anyone in the Trump administration that gets arrested or gets investigated. Let's not even say arrested, because that takes it to the next level. If they've just been investigated, they've even come in for an interview. That makes the news. That's big news here. But now it has trickled into the Podesta team and Hillary Clinton. If you don't know, Podesta worked with Hillary Clinton, and so I think that now you're starting to have a real investigation, because I just didn't see, Donald Trump was in the business world. And so if there was going to be any connections with Donald Trump and Russians, it was going to be from them buying property. It wasn't going to be from collusion. That's why I've been saying that was a nothing burger. And if you want to really look into people who were working with Russia and could have had some kind of impact, let's look into the Clinton Foundation and her work as Secretary of State, and how they got uranium over there and managed to do that with no issues. And I think that is a story in itself. And I think a lot of times people have been reluctant to do that. What do you think? Give me a call. We got a few minutes left here on the show today. It's been a great show. I appreciate all the folks calling in, giving their opinion on what I consider been some sensitive issues here. The president having to insert himself into. I hope moving forward, if I'm President Trump, I'm going to listen to my general. That's what I have you here for. Give me that counsel, that advice. Help me win. And that's what, General Kelly has been there doing. And I think that in this situation, again, it's unfortunate, because I think that President Trump wanted to, he wanted to help out. He wanted to be a compassionate person. But the way it happened, it didn't work out the way he wanted to. And I think that even now, if he showed a little compassion, a humble spirit, and just apologized, that would be the news story. I could see that being the news story for at least a day. President Trump apologized. I don't know. It's funny that would be the news story. But if President Trump came out today, see, the problem is it's become political. I think if it had just been even the media attacking him, and it wasn't a Democrat, this congresswoman making it a bigger deal, I think maybe he would have already by now. But I like the fact that Donald Trump is a fighter. He doesn't back down. Every time I hear that song by 50 Cent, he don't back down. Trump does not back down. He's a fighter. And I think that we should be happy that in that instinct that he is a fighter, and he's going to fight for America. If he's going to fight like that over these issues, I feel good knowing that this guy is representing our country, and we have someone that's going to put America first. And that's something, again, a newer concept because of this more global economy that we've headed into, that we've put profit, we put the global economy, to above the American workers. And that's nothing new. I don't want to make it seem like that's something new. And I just think that it's just been interesting watching this develop. I think I got a caller on the line here. We're going to bring in Eric. Eric, thanks for calling in, my friend.
Hey, what's happening, Wayne?
How you doing?
I got to disagree. I got to disagree with you 100%. This guy's not a fighter. This guy's a narcissist. This guy is arrogant. He's a bully. He thinks it's all about him. And where he messed up at from the start is he took the advice of General Kelly and tried to mislead the American public as relates to saying no other president has caused Gold Star families. He tried to make it about him. All General Kelly told him is he did not get a call from
President Obama. Right.
He even advised him to not even call.
That to me, Eric, that's where he dropped the ball. But do you think he was doing it for himself, or do you think he wanted to just to make a genuine conversation? I mean, do you think he wanted to reach out to the widow, or do you think that he was even making that about himself?
He's making that about himself too, because again, he took the advice of General Kelly and tried to make it about him.
But General Kelly told him not to make the call, though.
I'm Well, he chose to make the call because he wanted to make it about himself. That's all he does. Every time, he's a me, I coach. You can't be that in leadership. That's his biggest problem. That's his biggest failure. And if the people make a decision, if you run the 22 to put him back in office, I mean, hey, you get what you pay for. But the bottom line is, guy, he's someone I've never supported. I never will support him. I never thought he should have ran for president. I thought he was the buffoon when he was run that show, The Apprentice. And even with regard to the only thing I would give him credit for, he was able to take down some pretty established candidates during the primary of 2016. But at the end of the day, what we had to vote for on the 8th of November 2016 were two bad candidates, and that's how he. When the mess was clear, he was one that got to him office because she was no better than him. Both of them are. She's a female narcissist. He's a male narcissist. And unfortunately, we got to deal with this mess for another 3 years. But there's no way this guy should have been elected president of this country. No way. And this is coming from someone that's a conservative. I mean, there's no way. I mean,
Eric, I always appreciate your honesty too, brother, because you are conservative.
Right. You see that? Right. Another problem, people are continuing to protect him and make excuses for him. I mean, when you listen to, it doesn't matter if you listen to Fox, MSNBC, or CNN or the local channels. Far too many people make excuses for him. No one is willing to stand up to him. It's ironic. His wife is here talking about bullying, and she lays next to the man that is the biggest bully in the world right now, every night. So maybe the conversation she had with kids last night, she need to have with that moron, as Rex Tillerson called him. And Rex was right. Rex is 100% right. The guy is a moron.
Oh, man, Eric, you're killing me. You hurt my feelings this morning talking like that, man. That's okay, though.
I mean, come on.
You always keep it real with me.
Guy's terrible.
Hey, I want to make sure that you I might have sent you an email last night. I hope you can meet with me on Friday.
About Friday. I got it.
All right. Yeah. Excellent. Well, hey, Eric, I appreciate you calling in this morning, brother. I hope that Donald Trump can work hard enough to change your mind about some of these things moving forward. But I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you calling. I know as a conservative that I know where you're coming from.
I don't even refer to him. I refer to him to two things, Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
When they take D or number 45, I don't even say his name.
Well, I hope that, again, he works hard, changes this economy, and makes you a believer. It's still time for him to do that. I believe that he can do it, Eric.
Okay, you saw the movie Taken, right? Remember the character Liam Neeson?
Uh-huh. Say it ain't gonna happen.
No, it ain't gonna happen.
All right, Eric. Well, thank you for calling in, brother. I hope to see you on Friday over at the office.
Friday.
All right. Thanks again. And if anyone's listening out here, I'll talk a little bit more about this during the week. But Tom Leonard, the Speaker of the House, will be in my Detroit office. So if you're interested, call over to the studio. I'll give you the information. I'm not going to blurt it all out right now on the radio. But if you're interested in hearing what Tom Leonard has to say about, one, the driver responsibility fees, or about the insurance reform, don't hesitate to call up here. I'll get your information, and I will get in touch with you and get you the information so you can come and listen to Tom Leonard this Friday at the office about 1 o'clock. So thank you, everyone that has called in today. We had a mishap on our interview with the Attorney General. We will definitely get that taken care of later this week. Hopefully we'll have him on later this week, or maybe in our Sunday show. But we'll definitely have him on here. Bill's been he's been on my show before, and I appreciate anytime he comes on here and talks with the people. So thank you for everyone that called in today. Dr. Mack, Eric, Vincent, Michael, everyone that's called in today. I appreciate you guys calling in and giving your different opinions. I am not one to try to control or shut down opinions. I believe in sharing them all, and we are better off listening to each other. So thank you again for calling in today. We didn't get the chance to talk anything about this local election. We'll talk about that tomorrow, because I guess tomorrow night is the big debate, the one big debate between Mike Duggan and Coleman Young the second. Coleman Young the second. I was about to say something else, but Coleman Young the second and Mike Duggan will be debating tomorrow. And there's one other thing, I just want to say this before we get off the air. Man, that Little Caesars Arena, they better start winning some games, or get them some quality ball players, because that bad boy was empty last night. Now, this is the second game in a row. Now, I know Philadelphia is a bad team, but they have a lot of young stars on there, and it looked like a high school game. I can go to a Cass Tech basketball game and find more people there. You go to Callahan Arena. It was pretty empty. So I don't know if it's a matter of the suburbanites not willing to come back down to the city at night. Because I definitely think, that's how I look at it as a city guy. I feel a lot more comfortable now coming to a game at night because, I'm prepared to drive 30 to 40 minutes just to get there. So it's going to be interesting. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. But thank you again for listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 9:10 a.m., your Superstation. If you want to listen to my show, you can go on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, even on iHeartRadio. This is all there for you. Or go to the website, conservativebro.com. Follow me on Twitter at conservativebro as well. You guys have a great day, and thank you again for listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 9:10 a.m., your Superstation.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative lyrical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.